Hello everyone and welcome back to my opinion. In India have beaten Bangladesh by 7 wickets and have secured a fourth dominant win in as many games in their campaign thus far. As for the 11s, India went with the same team that they went with against Pakistan in their previous game, and for Bangladesh, two changes. Shakib Al Hasan, like I said in my previous video, was going to be an unlikely starter going into this game. He didn't play today's game. I don't know why Taskin Ahmed missed out today. Maybe he was injured, I don't know, but Hassan Ahmed took his place in the side. And the vice captain, the standing captain today, Nazmul Hussain Shanto, won the toss and chose to bat first, which I thought was the correct decision. Like I said in my previous video, whether India batted first or bowled first, and I thought that they should have bowled first, and they did, because Bangladesh won the toss. And I thought that whether they did either of those, they'd be able to compete in this game regardless. Whereas for Bangladesh, I thought even if they did bat first, which would be the way to go, coming up against this Indian bowling side with a fragile batting lineup, we wouldn't know how that would go. And if they did bowl first, I thought India were on course to get quite a big score. So it was good that Najmul Hussain Shanto won the toss and chose to bat first. The Bangladesh openers walked out to bat, and both Jasprit Bumrah and Mohammad Siraj were on song in the first 5 overs of the innings. And you thought, looking back to the preview video, you thought that yes, it was a correct decision for Bangladesh to bat first in this game. However, with the movement available for the Indian seamers to extract, and they did that, and you've got a fragile batting lineup. Even though Bangladesh would be doing what they'd want to do, how would they go? And credit to them, in the next 5 overs, they took advantage of boundary scoring opportunities presented to them and scored 53 runs during this time to get to 63 without loss and 10. And from Bangladesh's concerns potentially being on the verge of materializing, you've got the case where you'd got the case where, like I said in my previous video, if the openers had got through the first 10 overs, or even if a maximum of only 1 wicket was lost, and you've got a case where you've got through Siraj and Bumrah, you've got Kuldeep Yadav to bowl on a surface which I thought wouldn't have much assistance for the spinners considering how it has played beforehand. And if he didn't go as well in this game, you've got Ravindra Jadeja, who is a defensive bowler. Is he going to be that attacking out that Kuldeep Yadav is? Can you use him in the same way, especially on this surface? I didn't think you could. Shardul Thakur, who hadn't bowled many overs until now, and they didn't trust him when a partnership was going on, I thought, how would he go? And Hardik Pandya, if they started hitting him from early on, then I thought that the team may struggle. And especially when after the first 3 deliveries that he bowled, Hardik Pandya twisted his left ankle and hobbled off the field. You thought with India being 1 bowler short, then it was a case where, one, they had to bowl Shardul Thakur for a lot more overs, and I thought it was a good test for him considering they hadn't trusted him in the last year, and then they didn't need to trust him because they had Hardik Pandya bowling. And also the spinners, where before they bowled, I thought, looking at how the services played out beforehand, there hasn't been much purchase for the spinners. Seamers have dominated the ranks at this venue. And that's why I thought it would be a challenge for both those two, how they go. Especially if Kuldeep Yadav didn't have his best day today. I thought Ravindra Jadeja responding, it would be good to see how he goes in this type of service. Until the first wicket fell when the scores on 93, it looked like these concerns were going to be evident through the majority of this innings from an Indian perspective. And I'm happy that Tanzit Hasan scored the brisk 50 odd that he scored, 51 of 43. He looked good against Sri Lanka and England in the warm-up games, and even against India in the Asia Cup game recently, he scored 3 boundaries before playing the ball onto his stumps off the bowling of Shardul Thakur. And I was pleasantly surprised with the way he went today, considering despite the fact that he's shown promise in a few games, the last 3 games hadn't been as great in terms of returns. And watching him bat, it reminded me of Sai Sudarshan, where with both these players, when they play through mid-wicket and through cover, with the motion the bat takes when they play their shots, I thought there was a similarity there. And with both those players, they've not got a rasping cover drive, for example, like Virat Kohli does have, but they're both aesthetically pleasing to watch in their own way. And I think you could draw some similarity between those 2 players in the way they go about things. So I was happy for Tanzit Hasan in this game. And Liton Das played second fiddle, 66 of 82. He was on 1 of 15, and I think in an over of Mohammad Siraj, he kind of thrashed at a wide one which went for 4, and he got his first boundary, and 2 deliveries later he clipped one through mid-wicket for 4 to get his innings underway. And both these two were going well. The opening partnership was going at about 6-0 for the first 15 overs or so, and while these two were in, Bangladesh looked like they could get a good score. Unfortunately for Bangladesh, after the first wicket fell, the Indian spinners put a chokehold on the scoring wave, but Bangladesh only managed 36 runs in the next 9 overs for the loss of 2 wickets. The second wicket to fall was that of Najmul Hussain Shanto, where he tried to play back to a fuller delivery and he was wrapped on the pads, and the LBW decision was affected. And it's a case where you've seen non-subcontinental players being dismissed in this way, but I was surprised to see a subcontinental player be dismissed in this fashion. The third wicket to fall was that of Mehdi Hasan Miraz, an excellent catch from KL Rahul down the leg side after bowling of Mohammad Siraj. And to top it all off, Nitin Das on 66, he was on 63 of 73, a few dot balls of ball, then tried to take on Ravindra Jadeja by looking to go over long off, and the moment he hit the ball, he turned away because he knew he'd picked out Shubman Gill. So, from 93 without loss, had gone to 137 for 4, the start they'd got was dissipated, and it's a case where Mushfiqur Rahim walked out to bat at number 6, he scored a 38 of 46, Mohammad Riyad 46 of 36. Now, I've said this before, but unfortunately for a few of their senior players, Bangladesh, especially the batsmen, Bangladesh are at a point where, are they content with taking that extra bit of responsibility that they used to? I don't think they are. You've got a case where when Shakib Al Hasan is in the side, he bats at 5 rather than at number 3 where he's batting at that position in 2019. Mushfiqur Rahim batting at 6, he did not used to bat at 6 before. When Mohammad Riyad is batting so well, even the previous game he played on, Mushfiqur Rahim has scored 2 50s in this tournament thus far and a 38 today. When you've got a Tawheed Hridoi who, apart from the 54 he scored against India in the Asia Cup, hasn't been as great in the next few games. Today he struggled for a 16 of 35. Then wouldn't you expect your senior players in Mushfiqur Rahim and Mohammad Riyad to bat at least one position up the order? I didn't get that at all. I thought Mushfiqur Rahim would walk out to bat at 5, and even in the absence of Shakib Al Hasan as well, and they didn't. So, unfortunately, when you've got a case where the senior players aren't batting in, at least one of them batting in the top 4, then with the weakest top 4 in the competition, like I've said, where you've got a case where, yes, the openers played well, they got them off to a great start, and unfortunately, the captain, who's still quite inexperienced, where he's had a very good year this year, but apart from that, I think in the previous years, the highest he's averaged is 16, and not only that, they've made such an inexperienced player captain to take over from the experienced Shakib Al Hasan. So I think he would have had a bit of pressure on himself going to this game as well, especially after 2 low scores in the previous 2 games. Mehdi Hasan Miraz, like I've said, with the way Nitin Das goes, yes, another 50 for him today, but I'll still say that with the way he looks to play, more often than not, when you face quality attacks, you could lose a wicket early, which is the reason why I thought Mehdi Hasan Miraz opening the batting and Nitin Das batting at 4 at times could be good. Now, the reason why I'm saying this is because unless you lose an early wicket, Mehdi Hasan Miraz at 4 isn't really going to advance a good position that has been set up by the openers. You saw today where along with Najmul Hussain Shanto, he got bogged down, and from going at above 6-0 for the first almost 15 overs or so, they were then 137 for 4 and 27.4 on a true batting surface. So really, I feel unless early wickets are lost, you'd much rather Mehdi Hasan Miraz opening the batting, because if he walks out at 4 when a decent foundation is set, then, and if he takes a bit of time, you saw today him and number 3 being bogged down and number 5 being bogged down, then it really dissipates a start that was created beforehand. On the Indian bowling, Jadeja Bumrah was once again very good, 2 for 41 in his 10. He's in outstanding form in this campaign thus far. Mohammad Siraj 2 for 60 in his 10. Hardik Pandya unfortunately could only bowl 3 deliveries before he had to go off the field. And I didn't want this opportunity to arise because of an injury to someone else, but I'm happy to see Virat Kohli bowl a few deliveries after a while. He's been termed to bowl medium pace in the past, however, with the way he runs up and the way he releases the ball, I think he'd be more of a wrist spinner. His action looked similar to Rashid Khan, and while Rashid Khan gets more revolutions on the ball, I think there was still some similarities in the action, and it was good to see Virat Kohli bowl. And Shardul Thakur, I thought this was a test for him, as this was the first time that the captain had no choice but to trust him since Hardik Pandya wasn't available to bowl. After giving, I think, 16 runs in the first 5 deliveries that he bowled and got hit for a boundary or 2 towards the end of his quota by Mohammad Riyad, I thought in the middle phase he was good. He picked up a wicket as well, 159 in his 9. And like I said, the captain had to trust him this time, and I think he went okay in the middle phase. And I was pleasantly surprised by how the spinners went. I didn't think there would have been much purchase for the spinners based on what we've seen before when games have been played at this venue. 1 for 47 and 1 for Kuldeep, in 10 for Kuldeep Yadav, and 2 for 30 and 10 to Ravindra Jadeja, where both those two applied the choke hold from the 15th over, and because of the restriction in terms of runs being scored, the pressure rose, and that's why wickets fell. So with both those two, especially on this surface, and with the start that Bangladesh got off to, with the way they pulled things back and changed the game for India, I thought it was an outstanding performance from both those two. I've said this many times now, but I would have played Ravichandran Ashwin ahead of Shardul Thakur going into this game and in the previous games as well. And the reason for that is, I didn't think there'd be assistance for the spinners on the surface, and I thought if Kuldeep Yadav bowls on a surface without much assistance, and if he goes for runs, then would you be able to use Ravindra Jadeja as an attacking option on a surface where there isn't much budget for the spin? I don't think you would be able to. And a common misconception regarding Ravichandran Ashwin is that he's a defensive bowler. I wouldn't agree with that at all. He's got both gears. And with what I'd said when reviewing the Pakistan game, however good of a start you get off to in the first 10 overs as a batting side, if you've got Ravichandran Ashwin bowling at you in the middle phase or set to bowl at you in the middle phase, he would be a roadblock during that phase. And with the craft that he's got, he would be able to adapt to bowling on any surface, and it would be less easy going for a side than it would be if he wasn't playing. And the player who played instead of him is Shardul Thakur. After going for 16 runs in the first 5 deliveries that he bowled, I thought he was okay in the middle phase. I was pleasantly surprised that there was some purchase for the spinners today, and both Kuldeep Yadav and Ravindra Jadeja turned the game for India. And from over 6 to towards the end of the 15 over, where Bangladesh dominated that phase of the game, and apart from that, 10 runs to score in the first 5 overs of the innings, and after the first wicket fell, India dominated the innings and restricted Bangladesh to 258, I think 256, and you thought that was at least 40 odd runs short on this surface. On the Indian batting innings, I thought the shot that set the tone as to how this innings was going to go was on the second ball, the first over. Rohit Sharma played a square drive after bowling a Shariful Islam for 4. The shot of the innings by far, and overall this chase was a bit of a cakewalk for India. Rohit Sharma continued where he left off in the previous 2 games, and I wasn't surprised that he got runs today, and in the manner in which he got them as well. I thought, considering they were chasing a low score, especially or a small score especially on this surface, I thought that if he got off to a decent start, Bangladesh would have trouble containing him. And the only bright spark for Bangladesh in the first part of this innings was Hassan Mahmood, who at times rushed Rohit Sharma with a short ball. Even though he's bowling at 132 to 135 kph, there was a ball where it was bowled at 132 and Rohit Sharma had to duck, and he was showing some good signs early on, but I think in the first 16 deliveries that he bowled, he only gave 9 runs. And Rohit Sharma was deservedly dismissed when he pulled the ball straight to square leg. So the only bright spark for Bangladesh in the first part of the innings got the first wicket to fall. And on Shubman Gill, he scored a boundary off the first ball that he faced, then scored 8 off the next 17, and then 2 sixes in the same over against Nasser Mahmood set him on his way. And he's had a fairly short recovery time after contracting dengue, and that's why I didn't really read too much into it. Even if he was easing back into full flow, I didn't mind that at all. They were chasing a small score on a true surface, and after hitting 2 sixes in the same over off the bowling of Nasser Mahmood, Shubman Gill went on to score a good 50. And when he was dismissed, the score was on 132. A partnership then ensued between Virat Kohli and Shreyas Iyer, and when the latter was dismissed when the score was on 178, Virat Kohli and KL Rahul guided their side home, and India won this game by 7 wickets. And on Virat Kohli's innings, a very good innings, yes, it's a case where I don't think India will have to look at their net run rate when looking to qualify for the semi-finals. It's a case where if they win their next game against New Zealand, I don't think India are under threat of losing any other game in the group stage. I think they'll go unbeaten and will finish at the top of the table. And in that case, net run rate isn't a factor at all. And that's why, unlike other sides, India can afford to take liberties when if you want to go for a milestone, you can take that time, because if you finish at the top of the table, then it doesn't come into play. Now, before I knew the information, and if this is true, that KL Rahul said that he also said that Virat Kohli didn't need to go for singles in order to get his century, and like I said, they had the luxury to do that. It's a case where when he was batting against Australia, he tried to hit a 4 rather than a 6, and the ball went over the ropes and he missed out on a century. That is different from blatantly not going for singles, and it's a case where I think 2 consecutive 2s were run, and with Rahul returning from a hamstring injury as well. Yes, him and Kohli went batting in the Asia Cup game against Pakistan, ran a lot between the wickets, and Rahul was fine there. But I still thought with him returning from a hamstring injury, I didn't want unnecessary risks to be taken. Yes, Kohli got his 100 in the end, and I don't think Hardik Pandya's injury is a serious one. I think he'll miss the game against New Zealand, but I don't think he should miss too many games further. So I think all's well that ends well for India as of now. And yeah, for 4 dominant wins at the start of this campaign, and there is no other team that's looking like finishing first as of now. And I think India will finish first more likely without losing a game. On the Bangladeshi bowling, the pick of the bowlers for them was Mehdi Hasan Miraj, 2 for 47 in his 10, and was the only one who could keep the run rate in check. And on Hassan Mahmood, after his first 4 overs where he deservedly dismissed Rohit Sharma, he then bowled 2 no balls in the same over when Virat Kohli was new to the crease, and is now finished off with 1 for 65 and 8, so a change of fortunes there from his first 4 overs. And I said this in the previous video where even with Taskin Ahmed in the side, a set of Bangladesh seamers that before the competition you thought bowling in these conditions that go quite well. It's been 4 games now, they haven't really turned up to the party, and you saw apart from 2 bowlers there wasn't much of a threat. Nasim Ahmed, I thought towards the end got hit a bit, none for 16, 9.3, and Shariful Islam a bit expensive, none for 54 and 8. So it's a case where an exciting group of seamers for Bangladesh in the first 4 games thus far haven't quite delivered, and I think with Shakib Al Hasan not being there as well, the experienced spinner and the batting option that he provides wasn't there this game, and you saw how that impacted the middle order where I thought Mushfiqur Rahim and Ahmedullah Riyad, yes, they batted 1 position too low each, but I thought Shakib Al Hasan not being there in the middle order when you've got, I think, Najmul Hussain Shanto, Mehdi Hasan Miraj, Tawhid Ridhoi all getting bogged down. You needed that experienced player there along with the other 2. And with the ball as well, Nasim Ahmed relatively inexperienced, and you thought, especially defending a low score, if Rohit Sharma got off to a start, and pretty much everyone who batted in this innings, however long they batted for, looked good. And in that case, Bangladesh without Shakib Al Hasan were going to struggle. So I'm not surprised they have lost this game, even though, like I said, winning the toss and batting first was the correct decision. And I did say that the game could finish earlier, even if they did do that, and you saw the game ended with almost 10 overs to spare. And from a Bangladesh point of view, Tawhid Ridhoi, unfortunately, thus far, apart from the 54 that he scored against India in the Asia Cup, hasn't gone as well. And on certain services, for example, I think towards the end of their group stage campaign, they're playing Sri Lanka in Delhi. It's a case where, yes, you'd think on paper, Tawhid Ridhoi being a more frontline batsman could offer you a more solid batting option. However, if he's not getting the runs and he's getting starts at very low strike rates, what you could do is you've got Mushfiqur Rahim and Ahmedullah Riyad who should be batting 1 position higher. If you've had Mushfiqur Rahim at even 5, Ahmedullah Riyad at 6, you could play Mehdi Hasan as the extra spinner if Shakib Al Hasan is available. If Shakib Al Hasan returns soon, then it would bode well from a batting point of view and a bowling point of view. You've got him in tandem with Mehdi Hasan Miraj has been in good form. So Shakib Al Hasan's return is vital for this side. And on India, since Hardik Pandya, I don't think he'll be available to play the next game. In my view, they should play either Suryakumar Yadav or Ishan Kishan at number 6, and instead of Shardul Thakur, I think they would most probably play one of Shami. I think they'd play Shami instead of Shardul Thakur, considering you've got to play a frontline seamer without the option of Hardik Pandya at number 6, and I think they should do that against Union. So we'll have to see what they do, but even though Shardul Thakur went okay today in the middle phase, it's a case of without Hardik Pandya, I still don't think the captain trusts Shardul Thakur in cases where partnerships are blossoming from a batting point of view, and that's why I think Shami will play instead of him, and one of Ishan Kishan or Ishan Kishan or Suryakumar Yadav will play instead of Hardik Pandya. But I don't think Hardik Pandya's injury is too serious and he should return soon. So let's see how things go in the coming games. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, share it with your friends. Remember, this is my opinion. What's yours?